welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Hughes.
And today we're going to be talking about 1970s Weekend with the Babysitter.
With only 2 motorcycle races.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the tea. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no real coach.
Hello, pizza man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love funny games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles.
You could have looked decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
So Hughes, you're back. Chris Mann is out of town this week, and I'm leaving town. So we just decided, let's do another episode. Let's fit you in. We were supposed to have just you and me on one episode, and then we had the shit show we call Stewardess School.
The amazing time of recording 3 hours for an hour and a half long movie that took 2 nights to record.
I edited it down to a nice 2 hours, believe it or not. So as far as the rest of that content, well, that'll just be disappeared, and we will all keep our jobs. Well, before we get into it, why don't we take a listen to the trailer? Give the audience a little bit of an idea on what we're talking about today.
She is youth, eternal in her beauty, her freshness, her freedom. She is every man's first love, but she is trouble.
Hello, Mr. Carlton.
Hello, Candy. She is the babysitter. She came to sit with Baby and went away with Daddy.
You and Mrs. Carlton don't really have much going, do you?
No, we just kind of move around each other. We don't say much.
We spend months together when all I can get is a grunt out of you because you've got your nose stuck in some script.
Well, why in the hell shouldn't I work all the time? I can't talk to you anymore. You take so many pills, you're in a daze. It's like talking to a stump. How old are you, Candy?
Does it matter?
Weekend with the Babysitter. The first motion picture that bridges a generation gap between middle age and the age of Aquarius.
We're going to tune you in onto what's happening.
Now this here is called a joint.
What happens when a middle-aged man reaches out to hold the illusion of youth? Weekend with the Babysitter. An interlude in time when a man fell in love with the fantasy of youth. But there's no escape from the reality of life.
I'm calling Jim Carlton.
And what games did Mommy play while Daddy was away?
I want to use your boat.
No way, Rich.
In a world where drugs were the only gods, she couldn't say no.
You want to kill us too?
She's right. I don't listen to junkies.
I may be a junkie, Rich, but I'm no fool.
Weekend with the Babysitter, a film that shows that communication is more than just words. A motion picture that hits home. Maybe your home.
We'll see that movie on Lifetime.
All right, I really don't like where it says at the end, maybe your home. Because that's a little bit too creepy. And this movie, the creep factor in this Crown movie is at 11. I mean, this is the Mr. Crown special, this movie. This is just an old producer just going like, well, I need to have some sort of justification for me liking young women, so I'm going to make a movie and show everybody just how bad my wife really is.
This is weird. Yeah, it was a scorned lover's affair. There's so many good parts of this movie.
So many fucking justifications for what he does. It's like, you know, my wife, she's a real bitch, you know?
And
she's on the drugs.
There's no sympathy for junkies, man.
No. It's like, you know, it's their own fault I fucked another woman. But is she fucking another man? So let's get into it. Before we get into the movie, Hughes, let's go quickly into the background of the cast and crew. The director, and he gets a story credit on this movie, Don Henderson, he only has 4 credits as a director. 1959, something called You Asked For It, which was a TV show. He directed one episode of it where apparently the audience would ask a question and then they would go film the answer.
Oh, I thought it was like a rate PSA.
No, it was like, how much money is in Fort Knox? And then they'd go film it. They go, there you go.
Oh, God.
It's a rape PSA. Yeah, you asked for it. Would make sense with the movies he did. 1969, he directed a movie called The Babysitter, which we're going to get into in a little bit and show the connection between The Babysitter and this movie, which is very interesting. 1971, the last movie he directed was called The Touch of Satan.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It wasn't good. It was like, the synopsis was just like some guy meets a girl and she's a witch or something.
Aww.
One writer, but 2 story credits, which brings us to 3 writers total. The Of course. Oh, by the way, this is a Crown International picture. Welcome back, Crown. Welcome, Mr. Crown. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we'll be hearing a lot from you, I assume, in this movie. Well, I do have a lot of things to say. So, well, thank you very much. James E. McLarty is the writer. He only has 6 writing credits, though. 1966, None But the Brave. 1969, no, I cannot pronounce this. It's called Kinepeibai.
I spaced out.
Kinepeibai. It's also known as The Notorious Concubines, and it's an Asian movie. I don't know why it was written by an American man, but
it's weird that it's called The Concubines because that's a Greek word.
Yeah, I think it is a Greek movie, but it stars a bunch of Asian actors. There's no synopsis or anything for this movie. I just looked at the poster. I'm like, what the fuck?
The geisha connection.
Yeah, I just moved on. 1969. Oh, he wrote The Babysitter. We'll keep hearing this movie's name. 1971, he also wrote The Touch of Satan. So we got the gang back together, the writing and directing crew. I wonder if there's anybody else involved with this movie that was involved in those other movies. Oh, but the writer, James, he had 12 acting credits, though, including the role of Smitty in this movie. He was also in 1962. We talked about this on an earlier episode, The Thing with Two Heads, House on Bear Mountain, which is about Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein peeping on women. He was uncredited as party guest in Sombrero. So
that's Sombrero.
That was his first acting credit. All the movies he wrote, he has small roles in, and some others. He passed away in 1979 at the age of 48, though. Poor guy. Cast: George E. Carey, who plays Jim Carlton. Grindbin All-Star. Now, he appeared in the movie The Thing with Two Heads in 1972. But lead actor George E. Carey also wrote the original story for this film. And he produced it.
He's produced a few films, hasn't he?
While it's not a sequel, this movie is literally the same movie as 1969's The Babysitter, which was also, it's called the spiritual successor, they say on the IMDb trivia, and it's very true. George wrote, produced, and starred in both films. And get this, Don Henderson directed both. The other guy wrote both, right? And they also have the same name for the character. The Babysitter is named Candy Wilson in both movies. So it's just like they had so much fun making a movie about an old man fucking an underage girl. They did it all over again. Literally all over again.
I mean, if you already have the script, you already have all of the shot scenes, and you just know where to go.
They were like, well, if it worked once, I'll stick it in again.
Go to L.A., go to Big Bear, call it a movie.
Okay, so I have watched The Babysitter, and let me tell you, that movie is maybe creepier than this one because the girl is actually confirmed to be underage.
Oh, God.
She is underage, and she's very young. She's like portrayed as, I believe, I'm not even joking, between 14 and 16. And she comes over in her little skirt and everything, and she seduces the old man.
Of course.
And, his wife has been absent, so he has all the excuses in the world. He's like, oh, she doesn't want to have sex with me anymore. I might as well go check out what it's like to be with this young girl. And then he jaunts around with this young girl. Now, here's where it gets crazy. In that movie, George plays a politician, and somebody gets pictures of him with the young girl, and at the end of the movie, the DA has the pictures, and he's looking at them, and he has George in his office, and he's like, well, George, I would have done it too. And then they have a good laugh, and and it's all over. All is forgiven. A white man who's a politician in the 60s, fuck a young girl, who cares?
So what is this, like an apology flick? The one that we watched, Weekend with the Babysitter, is now an apology for the creepiness of the other one?
don't know.
They're like, we're going to get a girl that looks barely legal, but she could be legal.
Okay, now obviously we're in an era where nobody has computers, but somebody should have been checking George's hard drives. I mean, if this was made in the modern day, 2 movies within 2 years of a guy trying to justify everything in the world, like it's okay for you to cheat on your wife and sleep with a young girl. It is. Look, let me show you.
The wife deserves it. She's terrible. She's got drug habits. She's absent.
Yeah, in the other movie, in The Babysitter, the wife just is old.
Well, he's old in this movie.
She just doesn't want to have sex anymore because they're old, and he's like, but I still got boners.
Well, it's weird. This movie is a 60-year-old man with like a 30-year-old woman cheating on her with an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
It's
what we assume is 18.
Well, I'm going to assume that she's 18.
But in The Babysitter, at the end of the movie, the wife learns of the affair, and she just goes, she's like, George, boys will be boys. Like, it's just all like, see, guys, I was right? It's the biggest apology of a movie you've ever seen. It's like George got caught with an underage girl by his wife, and he's like, I'll show you. I'll make a movie about it. It'll be a success. You know what? I'll show you. I'll make 2 movies about it, and you'll see I was right. I was the right one.
Then I think we got the better ending then. Can't wait to get to it.
So he has 23 acting credits, mostly TV. 1969, The Babysitter. 1 year later, followed up with this. 1972, I already said it, Thing with Two Heads. 1974, So Evil, My Sister, which I thought would be a better synopsis, but it wasn't. And his last movie was 1978, Sextet. That was the last movie he was in. And then apparently the cop showed up.
And dragged him off.
And they were like, George, we found these Polaroids.
Little known fact, George is Jared Fogel's dad.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's dead, so it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, Chris, but 2 movies in a row where he's trying to justify how it's good to sleep with an underage girl. This guy...
You just read off his acting credits, and they sound like porn movies.
Yeah, they
just
do.
by the title.
Okay, I only have 2 more credits for you. Susan Roman, who plays Candy Wilson. Now, this is just from the IMDb trivia. This is the film debut of Susan Roman. Candy Wilson's the babysitter, by the way, and is her only starring role. She acted in 1 more film later the same year in a very minor part, but dropped out of the film industry. Very little is known about her life off-screen, and many film experts...
Okay.
They got a whole team of them.
They got historians.
Have suggested that she acted in her films using the stage name Susan Roman. Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She was like, I showed my boobs on camera. Yeah, that's not. I'm not using my real name. I have to be in this movie where I have to have sex with a 60-year-old man, and I'm not even sure if that camera's really rolling film. Yeah, I would like my payments in cash, please. Luann Roberts, who plays Mona Roberts. Oh, what a coincidence. Same last name. Maybe that was in the casting. They're like, you're born for the part. Can we just change your name to Mona? And Mona, by the way, it's almost like you just moan when you hear it. You're like, ugh. 38 credits. Now, she has some very interesting movies she starred in, Chris. I'm going to read you the titles. 1970, Marcia, the erotic housewife. 1970, How to Succeed with Sex. Well, that's pretty easy. It just goes in and out, and it ends at some point. I would say that's a success.
And sometimes take a 9-month break.
1970, Divorce, Las Vegas Style. These are all the same year, by the way. So look at this: Marcia, the erotic housewife, How to Succeed with Sex, and then Divorce, Las Vegas Style. 1972, Prison Girls. In 1974, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. That's all I have for the cast and crew. But we're going to get into the movie. Boy, do we have a lot to say about this one, Hughes. Now, I gave you the choice of 3 movies, and this is the one you picked.
I picked it strictly because it was a Crown movie, and it was weird. It was something I haven't been able to cover on this, and I wanted to get something weird, and I got it.
So you were complaining the other day that I only give you good movies,
like enjoyable watches. Not
but Stewardess School is not a good movie, but
it wasn't terrible to watch. Like, I'm not turning it off.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, fine. You want a challenging movie? Let's do it. You were like, I want something in the vein of B-Girls or like The Teacher or something like that. So I was like, all right. I picked out 3 for you. This is the one you picked, and I'm so glad you did, because Hughes, I feel we're going to have a great conversation about why this movie is quite possibly one of the worst ideas to ever film.
Twice.
So we start on very weird music, okay? Now, this movie starts in the most confusing fashion I can imagine, is we start on the U.S.-Mexico border.
With exciting music. It's exciting. It's like sitcom, like beginning of a show. Hey, everybody, the show's on. We're getting ready.
We immediately cut to like a lady riding a motorcycle. So we go from the border, the U.S.-Mexico border, of people bringing in drugs. No, not even at this point. Just people crossing the border.
Crossing, like, oh, this is how the border works.
And then a girl riding a motorcycle, and we're like, well, how do these things mix? Spoiler, it will not. So we just keep going back and forth, right? And we go to the border, and we see police are checking people through, and there's that one guy who, he just pulls his car in, and then he tries to make a run for it.
Yeah, like the cop was like driving his car and
parked what was that about?
And then a overweight redheaded man coming from the border hops out and starts running towards the border. And then gets tackled. It was so weird.
That was definitely. Is this the Bobby?
This is the Bobby right at the beginning.
You know, I can imagine a scenario where Bobby and DeVito cross the border, Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke style, where they pad the walls of the Straight Arrow out of marijuana. You remember in that one Cheech and Chong where they built their whole car out of weed, like the whole car was made
just
of
green.
So these cops are like, they beat that ginger man down. I do think I see them actually beat him down.
Yeah, they do. They
use force.
They united flight him.
So then we go back to the bike lady. This is what I write in my notes. How is this connected to anything?
It isn't. There is no connection to this.
There's
no border patrol in this movie.
Yeah, there's really no connection to the border.
No.
Why we're here with the camera crew and filming it? Like, it's almost like they were deciding to make a different movie, and they're like, let's just fuck that.
I say that there is a movie somewhere we haven't covered that this footage is used for something.
It seems like it's out of something completely different. There has no context whatsoever in the movie. The drug deal that eventually goes down in this movie has nothing really to do at all with the border of Mexico.
It was just weird that everybody was like really nervous crossing the border too.
Everybody's nervous.
As they're just like nervous. Here's like 6 IDs. Yeah, they're all good. Just let me through.
Do you know how fucking easy it is to cross that border? We've done it
multiple
times.
It's not
easy. I mean, it's not hard. Were you with us when we went to the show down there?
I wasn't.
And
with
I
you.
got stuck. Oh my god, worst fucking night of my life. Took 6 hours to get out of the goddamn border through Mexico, and this fucking lady behind me rams into the back of my car. She hits the back of my car. Right. This lady gets out with like a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket, like from 1980, right?
What color was she?
She was a Hispanic lady.
Okay.
She was obviously from Mexico. And she goes up to my window and knocks on the window, and she goes, "Why?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, lady? You just hit my car." And she's like, "Why? Why?" She keeps going, "Why?" I go, "I don't even know why you're here. They're not going to let you across." You're obviously not from there. I don't know why you're waiting in this 6-hour line.
You know, it's like a crime to get in a car accident in Mexico if you're not a Mexican citizen. So like they can.
That's why I fucking left, man.
Yeah, they're trying to extort money out of you. So they're like, I'm going to call the cops.
Why? Yeah. I was like, all right.
I used to go down when I used to drive to Ensenada all the time to go fishing.
When we got to the station, all right, this is how easy it is to cross the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, maybe it's changed, okay, because this was 10 years ago. We had a member of our band, because we went down for a show, who didn't have his driver's license. It got stolen, and all he had was, like, his print birth certificate. And, like, the guy goes at the front, he's like, "Oh, do you have your licenses?" And we all hand it to him, and he goes, "What about that guy?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't have mine." He goes, "Yeah, all right, say it." Because he was so white, there's no way. I mean, there's no way he wasn't.
I have not tried to cross the border since they made it like you have to have that special passport.
No, you have to have a passport.
You have a passport, or you can get that little card. I haven't gone back.
I'll tell you, in the days we used to go, you could just walk across the border.
With alcohol and everything, and you're 18.
And you remember you tried to get back, and the guy was like, he's like, "Hey, why'd you go to Mexico?" And I just said, "None of your business." I was like, I'm a citizen, guy. I'm getting in, okay? Just shut the fuck up. Put that fucking, just wave me through, all right?
Dollar beers and cheap tacos.
We're gonna waste our day. I mean, I don't have anything on me. They can search me all they want.
Wanted to see the bullfight.
They're not gonna find anything. Okay, so then we just keep going between this, right? This girl riding on a bike, and she goes up to this big mansion, and the border. The cops are just finding drugs in like gas pipes and all this shit. I don't even know what the fuck's going on.
It was like 4-inch pipe, and it was full of drugs, and they're like, "Oh, we got a big score here." Like, no, it's nothing.
And you're thinking like, "Oh, I guess at some point this border's going to come into play, or else why are we here?" So we go to the house, Chris. So we're that girl on the bike, okay?
She parks her bike and she starts walking this walkway, right?
Yeah.
And if you noticed, the end credits come up on screen.
This isn't the day where you would just play the whole credits in the beginning.
For 17 seconds, it was the same frame of credits. I counted
This is because they're like, all right, everybody, the movie's on, sit down. See, people wouldn't even notice there was, at the beginning, they're like, no, we need extra footage. Just cut in that stuff with the border from that other movie. Nobody's paying attention in the first 10 seconds. The first 2 minutes of a movie, they're pulling their pants up. All right? Nobody's paying attention.
So we get the end of the credits fade, and the girl walks off the concrete back to the border, and that's where we see the drugs. Then back to the house, and then the door rings, and then into the house, and it's just like cut.
Okay, and so this is our character Candy, okay, who we're just gonna refer to as the babysitter or the sitter.
The sitter.
Candy, the sitter, and this pervert old man answers the door, okay, and that he will be referred to as Pervert Man because that's what he is. This man is a pervert. He's a derelict. He is one of the worst human beings on earth, and we'll get into that. The sitter comes in, right? And she just walks in, and she's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, your wife told me to come over."
And the pervert is very confused. He's like, "I don't think we need you tonight."
Yeah, and the pervert, by the way, he dresses like Mr. Rogers, and he talks like Mr. Rogers. He's like, "Oh, well, Candy."
I think we need to describe what this guy looks like.
He looks like Mr. Rogers.
No, but Mr. Rogers wasn't this old.
No, he looks like an old Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
like, if Mr. Rogers went gray, he has the same type of part in his hair. He wears sweaters.
Think Thurston Howell meets Mr. Rogers is how I would put it.
Yes,
it's that old.
And his khakis are so well pressed, you can see the seam. Like the seams are perfect, right?
His beige loafers.
Yeah,
his house loafers.
Everything about this man is very well put together. He's a country club white man, is what he is.
And old. And Candy is kind of this long-haired brunette with. She looks 18 to me. She didn't look underage.
The ideal guma of a white 60-year-old movie director. Like there's so many weird connections to this. It's like he's also happens to be a movie director.
I can't wait for that.
Like,
scene.
Can you see Mr. Crowd in the theater? He goes, "You see, honey, everybody loved the movie. You're wrong. You've been busting my balls for years about that time you found all those Polaroids. And I told you, you didn't give me enough attention. Now everybody agrees with me. You read the reviews of the paper, they said it's a lovely love story. So maybe now you can shut your mouth and stop talking about going away and taking half my money. Are we okay now?"
What year was The Graduate?
I don't know.
Like, because that was, it's kind 70s, of this, I believe. It's the opposite of this, where it's the woman pursuing the young boy.
Yeah, this is just...
Which isn't as creepy. But this is super creepy.
Oh, boy. Creep doesn't even begin to explain. Chris, like this man, like I'm saying, if this movie came out today, the hard drives of everybody that was a principal person in this movie would have been confiscated. Somebody would have been behind bars at some point. But in 1970, they're like, oh, how sweet. So this pervert, he's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, come and sit on the couch. Well, I'll go ask my wife about what's going on." And he goes in, and he's like, "Oh, hey, wife, the sitter's here." And she's like, "Well, I didn't call her." And he's like, "Oh, well, this is awkward. What? I don't know what's going on." And they get in this big fight.
Well, no, first she's like, "Well, let's take advantage of this. Let's go out. I'll show you a good night."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Well, no, I made plans. Fuck you."
Yeah, okay, hold on. Now this is, I did have a problem with this. It's like, so he's like, "Yeah, let's take advantage. Let's go out, I'll take you out to dinner." And she's like, "I have plans.
I'm going to my mom's."
She's like, I have plans already. No, I was getting ready to take our son to my mother's house. I have plans.
I like how long she was going to make it seem. She's made it, I'll be back on like Tuesday or whatever, and it was going to be a long drive. She was driving to Newport Beach. From LA.
Which is like, okay, we're going to theorize this is at night, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a 45-minute, hour drive.
At most.
I mean, they live in Beverly Hills, I'm assuming. It's not that far.
You go on the 405, and then when the 405 ends, you're there.
Yeah. And so, okay, she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go visit my mom. You know this." And he's like, "You never want to spend time with her anywhere. You're always on your pills."
He immediately goes after her.
He's like, "If I went and fucked another lady, you can't blame me, right? You can't blame me." She's just like, "No, I have plans." And he's like, "Oh,
he goes, "I fucking have to work because I afford everything here. Why shouldn't I work?"
She's like, "Well, you're always reading your scripts." And he's like, "Well, you're always on pills." And she's like, "Let's not argue. I'm going to my mom's." And so, justification number 1, Chris. They should have put it up on the screen. They should have put bullet points. Maybe this movie came with a bullet point card, you know what I mean? A little playbill where it comes with the bullet points on why Jim is correct.
And why it's like talking to a stump. A great line.
It's like he should almost turn to the camera every time the wife talks and he'd be like, you see what I'm dealing with here?
See this
this
dumpy
was
broad.
the face Mr. Crown's making while he's watching this movie. Is he's always looking at his wife. He goes, do you see now? Do you see how you look? He comes in and he tells the babysitter, he's like, oh, well, we don't need you tonight, so thanks for nothing. And then he sees his wife and son off. And now let's discuss this for a minute, Chris. This man is like 60.
Okay.
His wife looks about 30.
I would go with that.
And they have a 10-year-old kid.
Yep.
And I'm like, So already we've established, this is the thing, is like, he's going to be with a young woman. He's already married to a young woman. He's married to a woman who's clearly 30 years younger than him. Like, very, very his minor. Like, I'm afraid to know when he met her.
We don't ask those questions. We don't talk about the old wife.
He just can't stand his shrew of a wife who's on her pills all the time, and she's so old. And
he's gonna wish he was on pills.
My God. So then the pervert goes back in the house and he starts talking to the babysitter about movies and shit. And then she's like, "Hey, this script that you wrote sucks ass." She's like, "'Cause I'm young and hip and I know how the young kids talk, and nobody would say this line." And he's like, "Oh well, I didn't write it. I'm just directing it next week. Maybe we could make some changes."
Did you write down any of the lines?
No.
So one of the lines she points out is, "You really turned me on. We should make the scene together sometime." And like every line that she keeps on taking out is like sexually charged. And she's like, "We don't talk like that. That's not how we talk."
Yeah,
about
but
sex.
that's exactly how they talk for the rest of the movie.
For the rest of the movie. All the way up until the end, the final parting words is the fucking terrible dialogue.
The dialogue in this movie, and I get to it at one point. I said, this movie sounds like a 60-year-old man trying to write a movie about a 60-year-old man meeting a young woman and learning how to act like a young person. Wait, that's exactly what it fucking is.
Long hairs, hippies.
So apparently he's a director, and I'm sure he's going to turn this into some sort of casting couch type situation very soon.
No, okay, so the way this movie is written, he did not turn this into a casting couch situation. She goes, "Hey, do you want a martini?" And gets up and makes 2 martinis, hands him one, and sits down, and then they start talking.
Yeah, and by the way, Chris, do we have to watch the martini being made?
Yes,
the whole thing.
Use the Tanqueray, not that other bullshit Beefeater. I'm like, product placement in a Crown film. Finally.
We got that Tanqueray money. Don't worry. We're going to fucking shit all over Beefeater in this movie. You'll love it. When you go and see it, hold on. We hear that this movie is about an old man trying to fuck an underage girl. No. It's about love. It's about love.
Oh, I was going to say it's about a young girl trying to fuck an old man.
There you go.
There's only so many times he can say no.
It's about a young girl trying to fuck an old man. What's he gonna do? The
wife. She doesn't
when
love
it goes
him anymore.
Up, come on, we're both men here. When the penis
we're
goes,
all men here.
Obviously, there's no women that work at the Tanqueray office except for the secretaries. Obviously,
the secretaries.
We know how it works. Okay, it's 1970. Have you heard our motto when people call the office?
No,
Have you heard
no. What's the motto?
Oh, you haven't called? I instruct all my girls to answer the phone. I say Crown International. Every woman has her price. It's how we answer the phone around here. It's our motto. So trust me, the Tanqueray people, you're gonna love this movie. It's a love story. It's about how young girls want to be with old men. It's a thing. It's happening. It's 1970, baby.
The way that they cut to him, make sure you use the Tanqueray, and then cut back to her making the drinks, like the ice, then the gin, and then
the olive. I mean, everything.
The stir.
Everything. We see every step. And by the way, they all have separate shots. It's not like we watch one long shot. It's like it's a Requiem for a fucking Dream or something. We're watching like every goddamn step of the process.
Like a snatch.
But in real time, by the way, not in fast motion. In real time. Takes about 2 minutes to make this martini.
And then she hands him the drinks, and we get the line we were all waiting for in this movie. "How old are you, Candy?"
Yeah, and he goes, "Yeah, wait, whoa, hold on. First of all, can you be drinking?" The answer is no.
Do you think that's exactly what he was asking? I don't think that was...
No.
I don't think he cared about the alcohol.
He's like, "Before we go any further, how old are you, Candy? And she goes, does it matter? And he just is like, I guess not. And I'm like, no, that matters a lot, sir. That matters a lot. In fact, it matters 5 to 10. You know what I mean? Like, it matters, guy. So she just basically says somehow this goes into the babysitter telling the pervert that he has to go out and experience life if he wants to understand the hip kids.
Yeah, you gotta come with me and go out.
Yeah, and
really look at it. And then the girl's acting right here, like Candy's acting is very like breathy, like seductive, and it was just like she doesn't have that tone for the rest of the movie, really, except for the last scene.
Again, Chris, like you said, this is not about a man sleeping with a younger woman. It's about a younger woman sleeping with an older man. So really that makes it okay, apparently. So they go out on the town, and he talks about how his wife is a dumb shit drug addict whore while they're in the car ride. He's just going on and on. He's like, the wife, I'll tell you, we got to get this out of the way soon so the audience doesn't think I'm a real creep. I'll tell you, she's not the same since she does all these drugs, and she's quite the whore.
Well, yeah, and then in that scene, they're talking. Mona asks, or he asks Candy, goes, did Mona ask you over tonight? And Candy's like, yeah, she totally did. So we can go out, but I thought it was going to be Wednesday. I'm like, I don't understand what I just.
No, she said yes, but she asked me a week ago Wednesday.
Oh,
and he was like, she's a dumb whore. She can't remember anything. She's been a real jerk lately, but she's the mother of my son. She's a good woman at heart, Candy. But God, those drugs, they've just rotted her brain, And we'll get into her drug problem.
I can't. It's coming up.
Holy fuck. Mona, the drug wife, goes to this house, right? And there's the drug boys, as I call them, okay? So the drug boys, because, okay, I write, she's here for something, but I don't know, because we cut in the middle of their conversation to a seizure-inducing flashing light in my eye. Thank God I'm not watching this in the dark.
I was watching this in the dark.
I thought I was going to fucking die when I saw this. It goes to this flashing white light in your face, and we're all of a sudden in a dance club, and the pervert and the sitter walk in, and they go to meet her friends at this table. All right, they are typical fare for a 1970s movie.
I think they covered everything, though. They got the hippie, they got the beatnik, and they got the fucking Travolta.
Yeah, I right. Okay, so I got the beatnik wearing a beret thing, right? A hippie girl who apparently got a boob job or something.
Yeah, her name's
they will
KK.
talk about that.
Yeah.
And a guy wearing a fringe leather vest like he's one of the Village People, or like you said, Travolta. What's ironic is that this is what I wrote. This is what ironic is that the movie's supposed to be about an old man getting hip with the kids, yet it's written by an old pervert. Hence becoming a very meta experience of him trying to understand the kids in 1970, but obviously just doing it by asking somebody he knew, like, hey, Joe, what did your daughter do? By the way, what's her name? Do you have her number? I want to go hang out with her. We go back to Mona, right? Now, here's where I have another problem, Chris, is the wife pays this guy 10 grand in 1970 money, which is what, $100,000
yeah, it's fucking
today?
Insane.
She pays him 10 grand in cash for drugs.
She pays him 10 grand that we think is for drugs, and then the drug dealer, the pusher, is like, no, I'm not going to give you any drugs. And you're like, whoa, man, this is like your only fucking client. And she is...
Yeah, he says at one point, he goes, you're my only retail client. And I'm like, wait, hold on. She paid you 10 grand. Like, and you're not going to give her anything? He's like, no, that's not enough today. And I go, how many drugs does 10 grand get you in 1970? I mean, this is her fix? Like, does she just buy once a year? Like, they have some sort of sale and she comes in and buys her yearly supply? Because 10 grand would get you very far, I'd imagine.
And it's weird, like, he's calling the black guy, what'd you name him? Leon was his name in the film.
I don't know what the black guy's name was.
His name's Leon.
Okay, Leon.
I had to come up with a name to be able to follow these people because, like, immediately you get introduced to Leon and then he gets kicked out and he gets called a junkie and goes upstairs. And then Sancho comes in.
Sancho? Okay.
Sancho's the Mexican butler of Rich. Rich is the white guy.
Wait, who's the guy with the mustache?
Rich.
Okay, well, let's just call him Mustache Man.
Mustachio.
And the other guy...
Sancho with the
sideburns. We're going to call him Lobster Man, and I'll tell you why in a second. Okay. His name is Lobster Man. So, Mona
I got to write these shits down.
Okay, well, we'll get it. Mona comes into this house. She pays this guy 10 grand, okay, which Jesus Christ, the amount of drugs you can get for 10 grand. And I'm wondering what drugs is what is she buying?
Okay, so at the point where she hands over the money and he goes, "Did you bring it all? Every cent?" And then if you notice, they pull the money out of the envelope, turn to the camera and start counting it. Like, "Oh yeah, we really got 10 grand here." Slowly counting
sure
1,
you show
2.
Trust me, the IRS is going to have questions.
Jesus.
You got to count every bill on camera. We've had a lot of problems with them in the past few years, you know.
Where's the stuff? You got the money. Looks like the price just went up.
It's like, no, it didn't, guy. You got 10 grand from this lady. And he's like, "Hey, didn't your husband have a boat?" And I'm like, "Okay, guy, you just got 10 grand in cash. Go buy yourself a fucking boat, you dick.
Go rent a boat."
Yeah, go give her the fucking drugs she paid for. And they're like, "No, that's not it. I'm going to like make you get this boat or something before I give you the drugs." And then he takes her purse.
Yeah, and then he has the...
Well, he starts whining about it. That's when he says, "You're my only retail client." And I was fucking flipping out my notes. She was going, "She paid the guy 10 grand. How much does she fucking have to do? This is 1970, 10 grand in 1970. I mean, what the fuck?"
And then that's when we find out that Mona has a drug problem. And it's bad.
Oh, a serious drug problem. 10 grand for what? Like I'm saying, a year, a month, a week, a day? Jesus Christ, 10 grand?
And he goes, "How about that boat?" And then he steals her purse. "You're not leaving until you give me that boat."
Yeah, he's like, "You're not going to get anything, right?" And I write, "But she paid."
Nope.
And then instead she just kind of sort of sits on the couch and she's all bummed. She's just like, "Oh, man." Then we go back to that bar. We have another seizure while the pervert and this beret guy talk about how they apparently named this hippie girl's tits
Mary.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Then Beret Man asks if the pervert is fucking the babysitter, and he's like, hey, what type of conversation is this?
"Hey, man, are you making it with candy?"
It's like, dude, you showed up to a fucking dance club with her, man. I mean, what else is he gonna think? Like, you're obviously not the first old man she's gotten. She has a taste for that wrinkled penis. Like, trust me, she's got a fucking craving for it, this girl. She can't stay. You're laughing there, Chris, but you know it's true.
Yeah, she likes beef jerky.
Yes, that's what she likes. I think as a kid, she had a lot of beef sticks, you know. And
no dad.
Yeah. Her mom would give her beef sticks as she left with random men every night. And so it's
if you want to get
her.
into Candy's backstory, we can go really dark.
I think there's some molestation in the past, Chris. She was either going to end up fucking old men or being a porn star, so...
Well, luckily in this movie she got to do both.
So then we see the pervert dance with her, and
it was awkward.
Oh my god. He's just doing this Mr. Rogers smile while he's like doing kind of a little, like he's doing the river dance or something.
He looked like an elderly man at a old age home that's doing like you stick your left foot in, whatever that is.
The hokey pokey.
The hokey pokey.
Yeah, you're right. And so we're 20 minutes into this movie and we're already going to a psychedelic Crown dance sequence. Wow. We are just hitting our fucking stride, right, Crown?
I was enjoying the pace.
Yeah.
It was going.
Nice and leisurely.
Yeah, it was nice, leisurely. It kept going. Everything would change. I could follow the story this time. I had it all.
Yeah.
I was enjoying
if
this.
you can't follow the story in a Crown movie, you're watching it very wrong. I mean, it's paper thin, Hughes.
God, the bubbles and the flash cuts. That's all we were getting over and over with the lights.
Yeah, I wrote, it's almost like the movie fell into its own drug trip. Like at some point, the movie took the heroin with her and just started kind of flipping out for a minute. And then Mona, so we go back to Mona. She's still sitting on that couch, and I guess waiting for the drugs in her purse, which have not arrived. And then she talks to some random guy. Now, this is the guy I'm going to call Lobster Man. We don't know him. We don't know anything about him, okay?
Correct.
But then he starts going into like this long backstory about how he knows about boats because he used to go on boats with his father and catch lobsters.
No, it was weird. It was weird in that. He goes, I know the whole coast. I know it by every inch because I used to smuggle lobsters from Mexico. I'm like, why were we smuggling lobsters from Mexico?
To smuggle a lobster?
I immediately stopped the movie, Googled it. I couldn't find when lobsters were illegal.
It's not, you just go, if you want to catch a lobster, you go out and you fucking catch a lobster. I mean, I can go down to Dana Point and I can go see lobster boats. There. They go out every morning and they catch lobsters. You don't need to smuggle them.
It was so... But he was trying to make her at ease that he will be captaining the boat and nothing bad's going to happen to the boat because he thinks that she is reluctant to give the guy the boat because the boat's going to be damaged. And I'm like, she's stealing $10,000
She's like
multiple times from her husband. I don't think she gives a shit about the boat. She just doesn't want to give him a fucking boat and just get the fucking drugs.
He's a fucking drug dealer. Like, she doesn't want to associate with him. She's like, I need to go pick up my son at my mother's house, which, by the way, will we ever see that son again?
No.
Will we ever hear anything about him again?
Nope.
Will we ever get a call from our mother saying, are you ever going to pick up your fucking kid, you junkie bitch?
No, but we do get like a Training Day-esque plot drop in this conversation. And that is that Rich made a sale without anything to sell. Now he needs this boat. Rich is going to die if he doesn't get this boat and succeed in picking up the drugs. That's the plot.
Wow. You know what, Hughes? I didn't even notice that. So thank you, Crown. You have established the plot within the first 30 minutes. Wonderful. 1970, they learned a lot. Of course, they forgot it all by 1971. So I don't know what happened there. So the pervert, we're back at the barn. The pervert's telling him about his shitty movie he's going to direct that nobody gives a fuck about.
He's getting honest with the group.
This movie is obviously playing in 42nd Street theaters. I mean, it's playing nowhere. Like this, he probably directed that movie, How to Succeed with Sex or whatever it is. And then maybe that's it. This is a very meta experience, Chris. Maybe that woman, Mona, who played Mona, is actually his wife in real life, and he's like making this movie. He's like, hey, you're doing all the drugs all the time. You can't blame me for going out and fucking those young girls.
I think, should we establish that she's on heroin? Because they don't establish it for a long time in the movie.
Okay, so it is heroin, I guess.
It is heroin.
At the tune of $10,000 a fix, apparently.
And that she needs every hour.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that much heroin. This lady's going away a long time. A long time if she was pulled over by the cops. We're talking trafficking charges. Like, they're going to be like, is this lady part of the cartel? And she's like, no, this is all for personal use. It's like, oh my God. No, you don't understand. It's a yearly sale Carlos runs. It's buy one, get one free. Yeah, you know what? I'll take you over there. You can ask him all about it. It's a very legit operation. So, no, we're sitting in this bar, and he's just talking about this fucking shit. Nobody cares. And I write, Chris, this is where I'm going to name these people. And I'm going to name them the Mystery Machine Crew, because they are pretty much just Scooby-Doo sans the dog.
Yep.
And will they solve a mystery at some point?
Yep.
Yes, they will. So he's telling the Mystery Machine Crew about how he needs to go tune into what's happening. And they're like, well, you should go to this bike race. And I write, for fuck's sake, no.
I was so excited when I heard bike race. I'm like, Mike has not watched this movie yet. I'm going to tell him that there is a bicycle race or a motorcycle race in this. He was not happy to hear about it. And then an hour later, I told him there's two.
A bike race is the kiss of death, as I write. The kiss of death. That or a live performance with a band's name that we're going to announce. The two marks of a kiss of death in movies. Like, just turn it off. So he responds by saying groovy, and they all laugh because he's a fucking old pervert idiot. And then we go into the Mystery Machine. So we do go into a van, the actual Mystery Machine. This is before they painted it and before they decided to adopt a dog. I feel like at the end of this movie, they were like, I really like the sensation of going on that mystery.
And the quote-unquote pretty girl with the big boobs is rich, just like Daphne.
Yeah, there you go. And she goes, I think I can get my father to get us fix up this van and put a nice paint job on it, but he says we have to take care of his dog. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they realize if you give the dog enough weed, he's going to talk to you. So we're in this van in the parking lot, and this, Hughes, you said this is your favorite scene.
They are going to do the first lesson joint for the old man. Oh. And it is a fucking instructional, like a YouTube instructional video on how to, 1, roll a joint, 2, smoke it properly. Does the old man ever smoke it properly?
But no. But you also have to say it's like that. It's like it's like if a 6-year-old man who's only been to country clubs his whole life. This is like if Donald Trump made a video on how to smoke a joint because he just learned from his kid's friend or something. He's like, I just figured out this new thing. I'm so in touch with the youth, It's called a joint, Joint, and this is how you smoke it, old man. And he's like, you gotta breathe it in. And they go through all these processes of, like, we seriously watch this.
No lung cancer in this brain suppository.
And I was like, well, don't get ahead of, you're getting a little ahead of yourself there, buddy. So the pervert takes a hit because he doesn't know how, because he's an unhip loser.
This is the Bill Clinton bio. I did not inhale because there's nothing in there.
And this scene is so bad. The pervert takes another hit, and he does it right this time, I guess.
By the way, we're getting a nice view of the interior of the van. It's a nice van inside.
Yeah, it is. Like, it fits 6 people. And so the beret man just keeps talking and talking. Like, they're trying to smoke this weed, and the beret man's, like, just fucking ad-libbing his ass off. Like, fucking scatting all over the place in this movie. And it's like, shut the fuck up, guy.
Do you think they were smoking real weed? Because I do.
It definitely looked like real weed. Like that was, especially when it showed the box, I'm like, oh, that's not fake.
You mean the shake and stems from the 1970s? This shit looked like kale.
Did you see there was literally a stem in there that was like a fucking tree branch. I'm like, oh my God.
It's like 8 inches long.
I hope they didn't go buy that from the guy and he's like, no, man, you can smoke that part of it too.
I just love the fact they would have got him high and then kicked him out of the van and ditched him. Like, you got a senior citizen high and then ditched him.
They should have, Chris. For the sake of this movie and this man, they should have.
Well, the fact that they're smoking for so long, that's how you know it's the 1970s. Because in this day and age, with all the medical stuff, holy shit, if you did that, you'd be
I don't think you could do that.
down.
There's no way you could smoke this much weed. Like, this is insane. They're going through joint after joint. Like, they have, we're not exaggerating, a shoebox full of weed. And they're just like,
this is one night of weed.
He's like taking it by the handful. He's like, it's so fucking great. It's cheap. He's like wearing it as a hat, you know. He's putting it all over the place. He's stuffing it down the hippie girl's cleavage.
And that's the funny thing is, like, in the 70s, weed makes everybody horny. And then, like, they start making out, and then, like, the snitch.
This is so like what a 6-year-old man thinks weed is. He's like, yeah, you smoke it, and then you get wacky and horny.
Wait until he saw Viagra.
You're right. This goes on for way too long. We watched them smoke for a long time. I wrote in my notes cues, I wonder when the dog shows up and it tells them they need to solve a fucking murder. And I wrote, if they pull the face off the pervert and he ends up being Old Man Rivers who murdered that kid in the theme park at the end of this movie, I will not be surprised. I'm like, that could be a possibility at the end of this.
And then with the next scene that comes, which is the cut to Mona, writhing in pain on the floor. She needs her fix, demonstrating how bad she has the shakes from not using heroin. This is the first scene that we will get where they are showing the pervert getting his fix and being happy, and her not getting her fix and being unhappy.
Yeah.
And those flashbacks between those two scenes. And then it comes into play later on in the movie.
Oh my God.
Multiple times.
Oh yeah. And you know the one scene.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I can't even wait to get to that. So we go to Mona and she's crying and rolling around. Yeah, so she's like fucking freaking out and going through withdrawal syndromes within an hour. Like, she needs her fix so bad, Hughes. If she doesn't get, now we're talking $10,000 a week for this lady. I mean, if she doesn't get a fix every 10 minutes, she's just like fucking on the floor going like, I can't function. I read at one point, I go,
this is where we're getting that there is no sympathy for anybody addicted to drugs in this movie. If you are addicted to drugs, it is your fucking problem and your fault.
Yeah.
And you are a piece of shit, and everything that happens to you, you deserve.
Yeah. If you're addicted to drugs and you're a woman, you're a whore. You're a terrible mother, and your fucking husband should cheat on you to teach you a lesson. That's what this movie is telling you. And you see Mr. Crown, he's like, you see what I said, you junkie bitch?
And he's like, I can use the drugs.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
I know self-control, but you, $10,000 a week you cost me, and then you get mad when I stick. She came on to me. Do we have to watch the movie again to explain it? It's all up there. It had nothing to do with me.
And then this is where Sancho is, the lobster man.
Lobster boy, yeah.
Is helping her with her withdrawals. And then Sancho drops that he's getting paid $500 a week by Mustache Man. And I'm like, how much money is that a week? And I looked it up.
That's a good money.
$3,200 a week.
Wait, no, he said $500 a week.
Yeah, it's $3,200 in today's money a week.
Holy fuck. Yeah, he's doing all right for himself, huh? Jesus Christ.
And then Rich comes back. Rich is finally back to Mona, and Lobster Man is almost getting in trouble. And he goes, okay, what are you going to do for me now? Now that you really need your fix, you junkie bitch.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
She's like, yeah, he does. You're not exaggerating, Hughes. That's the way he talks to her. And she's like, fine, I'll just give you the boat. You could use the fucking boat. And he's like, well, you're going to come with me, right? And she's like, what the fuck? You keep adding things on. And he's like, no, yeah, I need you to come on the boat with me. And she's like, fine, I'll go on the boat with you. What the fuck else do you want? Is there any other stipulations to this? Will I at some point have to rape a woman with my tongue? Will this at some point come into play? And he goes, we'll see, you know? He's like, we'll see where this goes from now. But at this point, I need you on that boat.
So she agrees to allow him to use the boat. She agrees to be on the boat. And that is taken care of for Rich. But then we go, so Lobster Boy's going to come out with a needle and give her fix.
Yeah.
And then we find out that she's not injecting, or she is injecting heroin. This is where we get, it's heroin, whatever, but she's not injecting it in her arm. She's not injecting it. She is like vaginally injecting it in front of everybody.
Is she injecting it into her puss?
So the only reason I can think, besides what they're going to try and put in this movie is, she's hiding it and she's going to put it on her vag area so that's why she stopped sleeping with her husband.
Yeah.
So he doesn't see the drug addiction that she has.
Yeah.
And further justification that if your wife is cheating on you, she is addicted to heroin and injecting it.
Check her puss. What do you think it's like when she goes to the gynecologist? Is he's like, is there something you want to tell me?
Herpes. But all the tests are clear.
This is Jesus Christ. I've never seen anything quite like it.
So she gets her fix, and then Mustache Man goes, all right, everybody, go to bed.
And then, okay, but we hang on her face for like 20 seconds too long. Like, just forever. And I just write, cut. Like, I'm just, Jesus Christ. So then Pervert Man and Babysitter, she pulls up. Okay, so the babysitter has driven him home in his own car, right?
And she can't drive a car for some reason, but she can drive a motorcycle because she's like jerking, and it looks
She drove her motorcycle there. She just didn't drive it home because she, at some point, she goes, it's too late or something.
Well, no, she didn't drive it home because Pervert was too high to drive.
Wait. Oh, yeah, they were in the car because they were going to go out. That's right. Yeah. So this Pervert guy, he's just fucking singing like an idiot, and he keeps using the phrase out of sight, and he's screaming outside. He's like, I don't care if the neighbors see me. This guy's a lawyer, and this guy's a doctor, and you know what? They lie for a living. These people lie for a living.
This is fucking racist, wasn't it? It was like money changers, and what was the other
yeah,
thing?
he said something like the Jew lives over there. I swear to God. Yeah, money changers.
Philistines and money changers.
The money changers. And he's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Right? A friend of Abraham, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, no, I don't, actually. What are you talking about?
I didn't get it. Like, psychiatrists were the pieces of shit is what we're supposed to get out of this movie. So the Pervert Man has had issues with psychology. This is the beginning tenets of Scientology.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry, Chris. He cements himself as a real racist, anti-Semitic, real great guy who we're supposed to feel sympathy with, and also agree that this whole movie is like a big wink to the audience. It's like, am I right? Am I right? That's like, it's like Mr. Crown's personal confession to the world. He's like, see, I'm not a bad guy, right?
He
but
hates
I'll tell
money
you what,
changers.
They fucking run this business. You wouldn't even believe it. Universal won't take my calls. What do you think it is? Oh God, I'm a Christian. I'm so persecuted in the world. You know, you know what I do? I went into Universal at one point and I said, you know what? Why don't you just do what you did before? Get me 2 fucking boards and some nails and you can fucking put me up on the street. All right? Like you did to my fucking God, you sons of bitches. Now, why they won't take my calls, I don't know. But honestly, they run this down.
Happy Easter.
Again, this is Mr. Crown's words. These are not ours. These are not the opinion of Grindbin. Maybe Chris Man. We get inside. All right. So we're inside now, right?
Yep.
And she's putting him to bed. Like a nurse taking care of her patient.
This man is so high he cannot get out of his clothes.
Yeah.
His apricot fag shoes apparently is what they were.
What the hell?
I had no idea
about?
what that line was, and I'm like, oh, does he know that
okay.
they look gay on him? Is that what it is?
Jesus Christ, man!
It has to be some. I didn't look it up, but it has to be some kind of like fashion from the 70s. They were cool.
I
shoes.
assumed it was like I assumed that was something like he was making a remark. Is like, see, the wife makes me dress like a gay, and if there's anything worse in this world than being Jewish. It's like, man, we're getting to know a lot about this guy. And so, yeah, we watched him get undressed for like a goddamn hour.
Well, he's like, here's my shirt. Take good care of it. It's very expensive. And she is like a fucking maid.
Yeah,
she's like,
he's treating her like, if you're going to be with me, you're going to have to learn because I'll soon be incontinent. So you're going to have to learn how to do this. And she helps him take his pants off. And then she gets on the bed with him and he won't shut the fuck up. And then she kisses him lightly and tucks him into bed, right?
She tucks him in, kisses him lightly, and goes away.
Yeah. And then we go to the boat, right? So the drug boys, they're loading up the boat with Mona on board, I guess, right? And then we go to some dockhand, this fucking guy. And it's like, how we know he's going to work here? Give him a hose.
Just carrying a hose and like a fucking uniform. It was weird.
Yeah, this dock boy walks up carrying like a 20-foot long garden hose that's never been used over his shoulder. Like they just bought it from Home Depot and told him to put it on his shoulder for the shot. And yeah, he's wearing some sort of like dock boy uniform. It's like, what the fuck is this?
And he's very suspicious.
Is he supposed to be like the harbor master or something? Because he's certainly not dressed. He doesn't seem like it.
No, I don't know what that was about. We just had to know that he was associated with the docks and he worked for it because it will come into play later.
Yeah. And what we do is we watch. So he comes up to the board. the boat. He's like, hey, where's Mr. Jim? And he's like, oh yeah, he's not here today, but his wife's here. And she's like, oh hey, how you doing? And then he's like, oh hey, good to see you. And then the boat leaves, and we have to watch it leave. The whole process of the boat leaving, we're not exaggerating, about 3 minutes of a boat pulling out, stopping, going forward, and like we just see the dock boy just like kind of staring at it. Is he suspicious? At this point, I don't know. He just has this blank look on his face like, is somebody gonna call cut at some point? Or and then we go back to the house, right? So the pervert wakes up from his night of debauchery, and he smiles to himself as he enjoys his rich white lifestyle as a director. And he's walking around, he's like, look at my house, look at my script.
Yeah, cue that feel good music.
He's like, I kissed a young woman last night, I might fuck her. And then he hears something in the kitchen, right? And he kind of skips his way in, and he goes, oh, the babysitter, she's here, and she's making breakfast.
And he runs upstairs.
Yeah.
And gets a smoking jacket.
Apparently she stayed the night. And he's like, oh, you stayed the night? She's like, yeah, it was a little late, so I just slept in the guest room. But you kissed me last night. And he's like, oh, boy. Well, don't tell the wife, right?
He goes, are you going to make me breakfast? And she goes, yeah. He goes, is that part of the service?
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, hold up. Is this some sort of paid affair? Like, Chris, how great would it have been if at the end of this movie, when he got into that boat, she's just like, wait, you forgot your bill. You forgot the bill. Like, he just gets a bill in the mail. He opens up the mailbox. He goes, oh. Well, I guess it was worth it.
Candy starts like egging at his wife. He goes like, your wife's not really taking care of business here. And he reminisces about how Mona was a good actress, but started fighting like with everybody, like directors and other actors. And her personality slowly changed, maybe because of drugs.
Yeah, I wrote must be drugs. The $10,000 fixes, the ones that would kill a normal person or a horse. Those ones that kill an elephant. Yeah, the $10,000 fixes. Maybe that's it, guy. What do you think that fucking track marks in that vagina look like, Chris? I mean, this is Jesus Christ. At some point, she's not even be able to go, like, she's not going to be able to take a piss. She's not going to be able to, I mean, goodbye tampons. Like, it's, there's nothing's going to work down there at some point. $10,000 up your cooch every week? Jesus Christ. I'm serious. So they make a plan to go out of this stupid motorcycle race, but then first we got to go to a motorcycle dealer, and we watch in, like, horribly recorded audio.
It was so bad.
It's like her trying to teach an old man how the functions of a bike, while this salesman just stands by awkwardly, who never says a word. He's just kind of like, should I be here? Is this my mark? He's just kind of looking.
Do you think that was an actor? I don't think it was I think they actually just filmed them like from a van 20 feet away.
Just park it across the street. All right, get him.
Go to the Honda dealership.
Frame him out if you can, because we don't have look, he can't be in focus. We don't have a release, and we're not going to go right up there and get one. Trust me. Just fucking film him. Get him a little bit on the side. We need to see there's a guy there. Just get him riding around the parking lot, and then we'll get out of here.
So this movie, they're at a Honda dealership. It looks like he's buying a CB750, a very popular bike for the time. Now, I don't know how it worked then, but no motorcycle license is needed. He basically puts it into first and somehow doesn't fly off because the bike doesn't have a lot of power. He does a circle, shakes the guy's hand, and they're off. They're fucking
He doesn't
gone.
pay for it. He's like, put it on my tab. I'm a famous director. And by the way, Hughes, you forgot to mention that we watched this scene of him doing a few laps around the parking lot while like circus music plays.
Yeah.
It's like the big top. Like the Lion Tamer's going to come out.
But that music was on the scene the entire time. The dialogue was there, but it was about, I don't know, a quarter of the sound of the music.
The dialogue in Dolomite was recorded better than this movie. And this is when I wrote, I go, what the fuck am I watching? I mean, really, what am I watching? Then they just ride for a while. Then we go to this raceway. They arrive and people are about to race. I'm sure this will go on for an endless amount of time is what I write, and it does. They find the Mystery Machine crew, and they're all there by their van, and they're hanging out.
And Jim is very, very affectionate towards Candy at this moment. Somehow from the night where he got pecked when he passed out to buying a motorcycle and getting to this, he has his hand on her ass.
Oh yeah, he's got his hand all around her. He's got it up the skirt. He's going full on, right? He's like, well, I better take advantage of it.
and then that's when we get to. So we're just looking from afar. Cut to the beginning of this fucking motorcycle race. No music, no dialogue, just fucking like 30 recorded motorcycles going off at once in our ears for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute race. Everybody has a helmet on, so we don't know who's who, but 2 of the people in the Mystery Machine are apparently racing, yet I didn't know there was 2 of them. I thought there was one guy.
I didn't know until the end.
Yeah, and then like, so one of them, the guy with the Travolta guy wins, right?
The Travolta guy wins, but the beret guy fell in the mud.
Yeah.
And gets mad.
And this is what I write in my notes at this point, Hughes. This is a race without reason or any sort of stakes, like 0 stakes. This movie is offering nothing in terms of conflict or drama or basically anything other than watching an old pervert try to fuck a girl I hope is of age because his wife is a heroin addict at the tune of $10,000 a fix in 1970s dollars.
So what I think, if we cut back to when they were at the dance club and they were talking about the, movies never portray motorcycle gangs properly, blah, blah, blah. This is then their like penance, like, okay, we'll show what being in a motorcycle gang is really like. We go to the racetracks on the weekends and race each other, and we're cool. It's a good gang of people.
And
we're nice people.
We're also rich, and we can afford fake boobs, and we like to talk like we're revolutionaries with berets and Native American fringed out. Oh god. So then we go to the boat. The drug boys are enjoying their boat ride, and apparently they're going to Mexico, and I write great.
Yeah, okay, so a couple of things. They're riding what they say later in the movie that they're in the boat is a 42 Matthews. I don't think that boat gets more than like 8 to 10 knots per hour. They're coming from higher than Newport, so Marina Del Rey or
so probably Marina Del Rey.
So that is like a 12-hour ride in a boat.
Well, yeah, they're out for days, Hughes.
Yeah, I know.
They are out for days.
It's a fucking boring ride. I've done it.
So then the pervert and the sitter come back to his house, and he's all out of breath, to show that he's old. And he's like, he looks at her, he goes, "I'll build a fire if you be the bartender." And I just write, ugh. And
that was a gas fireplace. He just fucking walked over, turned the little thing, and lit it. He didn't do shit. He's like, just make me my drink.
So they have drinks on the couch by the fire, and she goes, "What do you do that's crazy?" And he goes, "I talk to myself." And I write, "That's not weird, dude. This is the whitest man alive. Like literally the whitest man who's ever lived is this man." "Oh, you know what I do that's a little bit crazy, Candy?
I talk to myself.
I talk to myself. And you know what? I talk to myself a lot about my boat. I love my boat. It's one of the greatest things ever." And I write, of course he does. We need some sort of reason for him to get upset when we finally find out that the wife took the fucking boat. We need to establish
is he in for
this.
A surprise.
And then he goes, "Well, what do you do that's crazy?" And holy fuck. This I was not expecting this.
Well, who wrote this for her, or is this what she actually says? It's her, because it is fucking weird.
Hughes, is this taken like from the Jeffrey Dahmer like biography or something? Because she says, "I like to stare at people until they look back at me, and then I like to look at their reactions, and I don't care if they get upset. I just like to stare at them." And I write, "What the fuck is wrong with you, you goddamn serial killer?" Like, holy shit.
So when she was talking about that, there is a guy on YouTube that just puts a camera on his chest, and he will walk up to people and just stare at them. And they go, "What do you want?" Doesn't say anything. Just looks at them. It's the fucking creepiest YouTube ever. And I'm like, this must be his mom.
I was like, no wonder she never acted again. This girl is
fucking insane. I do not think Crown came up with that.
Like, how on earth would you think that this is a normal thing if somebody told you this? If you're on a date and somebody goes, "Oh yeah, this is my hobby. I like to stare at people until they give me a reaction." And she says, by the way, stare them right in the eyes. Like, not just stare at them, like, in the eyes.
In the eyes until they notice, then continue to do it with a fucking sociopathic blank face.
Yeah.
And
she says, "I like the reactions." If some girl said that to me when I was on a date, I would just say, "You know what? I'll be right back. I need to use the restroom." And then I would just be the fuck out of there.
How intriguing. This lady is special.
And then he goes on to fix the fire, and she comes over and makes her move. She wants some of that wrinkled dick. She wants that
balls.
The old Slim Jim, His name's Jim.
Oh, God.
So then we get the Crown sex scene. So basically like 10 minutes back. And I write, a surprising lack of ankles, though. But a lot of old man ass and inappropriate music.
Like, they had sex. This 60-year-old man fucked this 18-year-old girl on camera. There was...
She was like,
we see his ass, and we see like a thrust in there, and
she's like, you're obviously gonna put on underwear, a cock piece or something, right?" And he's just like, "What?
No, it's got to. Camera's got to pick it up.
No, baby, this is the 70s. It's realistic. You know, we're making movies, right? You wanted to be in the movie business. He starts rubbing her shoulders. You know, he's like, come on, baby.
And then how does it end? It ends with a flash cut to the boat, drop it in anchor to show that he got it in and it was great.
Oh my God, you're right. It's like the old train going in the tunnel. You're right. And I think one of the drug boys yelled, he goes, money shot. So it's night now on the boat, right? And the drug boys are waiting for some meeting to happen. Like you said, Hughes, that 12-hour boat ride is finally done. And then the mustache man tells Mona that he needs to get the merch.
Yeah, the fog's
Oh, no,
rolling
he
in.
goes,
Oh.
you need to try the merch for me when I get it. And I'm like, so now she also is the drug testing mule. Like, so she also has to test the drugs to make sure, you know, I guess if it kills her, they'll be like, well, no deal, you know? It's like, goddamn, her job just keeps getting worse and worse, right?
So if you come back to this, he needs this drug no matter what, or is he's gonna be killed.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does he need to test it? He'd be like, okay, drugs, cool.
Hughes, can I ask you a question? Why does he need the drugs when he's already been paid $10,000 in cash?
How much?
Don't you think,
what
like,
did he sell?
He probably would need the cash, right? That's what I'm thinking. So he's got that part of it. What
I don't get, he made a sell where he didn't have anything to sell, right? He has, not on her $10,000, another block of money somewhere that paid for what he sold. So now he has that plus $10,000 and he can't get it.
This is the most confusing drug situation since Mr. No Legs. Do you think that this man is the supplier to No Legs? Like, do you think that this guy's the guy shipping it in that thing, and then they break down those cigars and take out the drugs and then re-put in the drugs? So again, we have a scene that ends with zero conflict because these guys show up and he goes, now pay the quote Mexicans. And
the two white guys.
Hughes, I shit you not, they're in brownface.
Were they in brownface?
Yes, they were in brownface. I kid you fucking not. They've hired two white guys and they put brown makeup on him because one of them you can clearly see the line on his neck where his face is no longer brown and it's white. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You couldn't even hire a Mexican person to be in the movie. You had to get like a fucking grip from the crew and paint him brown, and they go, that's all right, kid. Nobody will ever know.
Then they hand them the
Jesus
money.
Christ.
They hand the fake Mexicans the money. The fake Mexicans take the money out of the bag and start counting it. Again.
They're like, just to make sure everybody knows it's real money. And then, by the way, this is the dumbest drug deal I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't fucking get it.
It just goes down without a hitch. Again, no conflict. Everything goes smoothly. We go to a plane, right? Stupid music starts as we watch this stupid plane fly in the stupid mountains.
With a voiceover.
Yeah, we hear some stupid VO of the pervert wanting to take the babysitter to a place that he says, quote, he's never taken anyone somewhere quiet and cold. And I write, sounds like this might be the end for you, Candy. You might want to just see if there's a parachute in this
The
plane.
way he described it was even worse. He called it a very special place. It's very high, very cold, and very quiet. I'm like, he's going to kill it.
Yeah.
This is how this movie ends.
Obviously, if he's never taken anybody there before, he's going to store her body in the cold to preserve it. And every year, he'll come up and fuck it. He's like, you remember how earlier, Candy, I said I wanted us to be together forever?
Now we can.
So
he is a captain of a boat. He is a successful director and a fucking pilot.
And a pilot of like this Cessna or whatever it is, right? He's flying it through the mountains. So the pervert flies them to this mountain airport.
It looked like Mammoth, but then the scenes look like Big Bear.
I think they're in Big Bear because they're going around the lake.
Yeah.
I think it's Big Bear Lake. He flies them to the mountains and they have a jaunt around this stupid frozen lake and they're like getting in a boat and they're like, oh, look at us, we're in love.
God, that was so fucking corny.
By the way, I'd like to mention something from a past Grindbin episode. You remember The Roommates? You remember that movie we did? It's about one of the craziest movies I've ever seen. Ever seen in my fucking life, where it couldn't decide whether it wanted to be a female empowerment movie or a slasher movie. So it just kind of dabbles in both. Now, they go to Lake Arrowhead in that movie, right? So the other weekend, my wife and I were like, you know what, let's go up to Lake Arrowhead. Now, let me tell you something. Don't ever visit Lake Arrowhead. You know why? Then you're not even allowed to look at the lake.
Really?
It's a private lake, okay? And there's trails around the lake, but they have all these gates, and they say, like, unless you live here or you're renting a house, you aren't even allowed to go to the shore. The only part of the lake you can see is through, like, a gate, like a fucking prison gate that they're like, doesn't it look great? Yeah. Don't you wish you
Fucking
rich
lived here?
Assholes. It's like, what the fuck? It took us almost an hour to get up there. We were up there. We can't even go for a walk. All we can do is walk around these shops with these fucking expensive
tourist traps.
Quote antiques.
Native American jewelry.
And I'm like, well, fuck this. That movie was a fucking lie. So we go to the cabin, right? And they arrive at the pervert's cabin. He says the baby... Okay, this is insane. He looks at her and he goes, you look good in my wife's clothes.
Is it? Yeah. And then she fucking immediately digs at his wife. Well, they're a little loose.
I'm like, whoa! Shots are fucking fired. First of all, guy, bad idea to say she looks good in your wife's clothes. Just... That's... Guy, if anything, don't... You know what you shouldn't do? If you're gonna have the guma up to the cabin... You probably shouldn't mention the wife.
Why
just
is
a thought.
his wife's clothes in the cabin? If nobody's been to, they brought a suitcase?
He brought it with him. Like at the house, he's like, here, this will fit you. Yeah, and then she digs at her and goes, they're a little loose. Like, woo!
What a fat slob.
I mean,
heroin addict Mona
by
is.
the way, his wife is like a thin 30-year-old actress. Like a rail thin 30-year-old actress. But you know what? Not only is she a drunkie, call her a druggie. Call her fat too. You know, fuck her.
And then Candy doesn't want to talk about his wife or his life. Just be with her now and do as she says.
And I wrote in my notes. I wrote, Mr. Crowd looks over and he goes, "Yeah, she's fat too. Am I right, guys?" He's like, you know, it's like the guy gives a wink at the camera. He's like, you know, do you see what I have to deal with at home? Right? Can you blame me? Like, this movie needed points where the main character would go into his fourth wall breakage and just kind of look at you and go, yeah, am I right? I mean, do you blame me? Yeah.
Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Like Steve Martin now.
And then he says he's had this cabin for a long time, but his deadbeat, drugged out whore of a wife won't ever come up there with him.
And all the time, this lady's like basically kidnapped right now, being forced to do fucking drugs.
And like you're said, I write, how sad. The poor old crotchety man who married that young actress can't get her ass to this shit cabin for the weekend. Certainly a rich man's burden, you piece of fucking shit. Like, screw you, guy. I have no sympathy for you. None. You're the richest man I've ever seen, and you whine and you whine and you whine about how your wife does drugs. Go fuck yourself, guy.
God. I like the next quote, though.
What?
When the pervert confesses that I love you, Candy, and she whispers back in his ear, she goes, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Star Wars moment.
You know, she just wants that wrinkled dick. That's all she wants, you know. Yeah, the real Star Wars, Where do you think Lucas got it from, Hughes?
He loved this movie. This is a Lucas movie.
So Han Solo was also, I think Princess Leia was supposed to be like 18 in that movie, if you think about it.
I think it was actually younger in the books.
Do you think George sued him? George, who wrote this movie, sued Lucas. He's like, you took my idea for a movie.
I think that George Lucas and Woody Allen all sat down and watched this movie together. And he's like, this is perfect.
This is the Woody Allen story of this movie. He's like, can you blame me, guys? Can you blame me?
That junky bitch of a wife I had.
But Woody Allen didn't like that part where he called those guys money changers.
Philistines and money changers.
He was like, oh. So it's night again on this boat, right? And Mona and the drug boys are still in the water for some reason. For some reason. The deal is done. Who knows why we're still here? Just fucking go home at this point. And then she leaves a message. Okay, so she like picks up the phone. I'm like, whoa. She picked up a phone on a boat.
Yeah, I don't know if it was supposed to be, if that's the old radios had the phones like in the World War II one they did.
Was a fucking rotary dial phone.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not how it works when you make a ship to shore call.
Yeah, that's like that's not a radio. Like that's not a CB radio or whatever it is that they're using on boats. Like this is a fucking landline phone. I'm like, no. Like I know it took them a long time to get out here, but I'm assuming they didn't bring a long cord to call the shore. But she calls the phone operator and she leaves a message for her husband while the mustache man caresses her. And then she hangs up and she's like, hey, can you leave me alone? You got what you wanted. Like, I'm done. Also, she is wearing
the best top in this movie.
This is the most, first of all, it's insane that she brought a change of clothes on the boat. 2 change of clothes, by the way, because she will wear another outfit in a little bit.
3 that she chose this particular Sailor Moon top. I don't know how to describe it.
Think about this, Hughes. The funny thing about this is they had to go to that boat, but she left her son and all her stuff at her mother's house to go to this drug deal to pick up her $10,000 fix, okay? We missed the scene where they went back to her house so she could get her change of clothes to bring on the boat. Like, what? I wonder what that scene was like. She's like, all right, I'll bring you on the boat, but I need to go home and get my change. I need to get some clothes. I would want to see the scene where the drug boys are just sitting in the living room waiting for her. Like,
you know, Mustache Man is in there, in the house, sitting on the bed.
He's picking out outfits.
Yeah, no. Give me the skimpy top.
Yeah, bring the white top. The one with the shoelace that ties your boobs together.
The one that looks... there's not enough fabric to reach to the middle, so we just put a shoestring between it so it doesn't fall off.
I said she looks like a female professional wrestler. She's dressed like China or something. Like
Sailor Moon anime lady.
She looks like she's ready to get in the ring. You know what I mean? It's not... Or she looks like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Okay, I'll go with that one.
She looks insane. The guy's like caressing her, and she's like, hey, you got what you wanted. And I write, I think he wants the whole package. The only things that are left are her body and her life. He might as well take them both. And then his girlfriend comes out. So Mustache Man's girlfriend, who he's also brought on this ship. Like, this boat is fucking huge, by the way.
Yep.
You can bring your girlfriend. You can bring the wife of the guy who owns it. You can also bring your 2 goons. I mean, it sleeps 5 comfortably, apparently. This is like a fucking mansion on a boat. Like you're saying, I guess it would take 12 hours to get there.
And the girlfriend's name is Doris.
So yeah,
and we didn't go into her cast thing, but if you look in one of the IMDb reviews, this guy saw that Doris was in this movie, and he goes, "I watch it because this lady's amazing."
Wow,
she's in other
for
movies.
Maybe 1 minute.
Yeah. But her line, Rich, what's happening? Come to bed. Like, just so breathy.
Yeah.
So fucking weird.
And at this point, Hughes, I don't know what's happening, so I write, so what's his plan? There are 5 people in this boat. If he fucked this Mona lady, everybody would be aware, very aware. Because his reaction initially is like, oh, I wasn't touching her when she comes out. But then I go, well, I'm wrong, because I guess the next thing he says to Mona is he's like, hey, you got to do one more thing. I want you to have sex with
Doris.
Not me.
No.
With Doris.
He's just going to watch.
He's like, because she really wants me to go down there and, I don't want to get the mustache dirty. We're in the water.
Like tuna.
You got tuna stash for a week. You know what I mean? And I write, good God, like this poor lady, if I were her, I would just jump off into the motor at some point.
Mr. Crown's idea. He doesn't like to go down on girls either. So he wrote this in there. He's like, this is, if you want me to go down, this is how we can do it.
You see what I'm telling you? Everybody agrees with me. I keep telling you about tuna stash. You don't listen to me, but I'm telling you it's affliction. You keep telling me to shave it because it tickles you down there and you don't like it, but I'm not going to shave it. It's the style. It's 1970.
And this sets up my favorite montage of the entire movie.
This is crazy.
To analyze this point is so fucking dark for this movie.
Way too dark for this movie.
Weird.
Way too dark. So, okay, what we're going to cut between at first is I write crown sex scene between the pervert and the sitter. Then we cut between a rape.
Not a rape. One was saying you do this.
Well, it is a rape,
right?
It is technically a rape. Somebody is doing a sexual act, not by choice.
Right. Okay.
But this is the oddest rape I've ever seen in my life.
Mona is going down on Doris.
They don't call her Mona for nothing. You know what I mean?
And Mona's doing a really good job.
Yeah. So that's why I said they don't call her Mona for nothing. Mona, she'll make it Mona. It all starts out... Okay, this is what's weird. It's all played out in absolute silence, okay? So we just cut between the pervert and the sitter, and Mona getting her top taken off by Doris, and them just staring at each other in the eyes, right? And then we see a scene of, the sitter, she hits the old man with a pillow, and then, game show music starts.
Well, there was, they brought out she comes out of the bathroom or something with, a plate full of chips.
yeah, with Triscuits.
Triscuits, and she puts that down on the bed. The first cut of them is they're laying in bed together. She puts a chip in her mouth, turns over, and kisses the pervert and puts half of the chip in his mouth, and they bite it and they giggle.
Yeah, obviously Triscuit's
fucking romantic.
We got to
as hell.
get the Triscuit money in this movie. They've paid a lot of money to get their product in here. They're really, really interested. The Triscuit company is very interested in a young girl seducing an old man. Apparently, that's their biggest buyer.
So then we cut back to the rape scene on the boat. Then we cut back to the pervert and the babysitter. And from being relaxed and romantic, the sitter
pillow
fights, and this music starts.
So like clown music, like it's like a game show.
Fucking
this
weird.
is like the end of Hollywood Squares. Like the credits are playing, but now here's the weird thing: we'll cut from that to dead silence of Mona
and like awkward, like you can hear people crying. Basically, I just hear like the Mona is dying. A little piece of her is dying in this scene.
So apparently Mona is going downtown on Doris forcibly. Like somebody is making her, like I said, she's eating her lunch in Box Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I said, the weirdest... Right, what the fuck is this?
It was so weird because it kept going like the pervert who is a cheater on his wife.
Yeah, he's good. Let's play the game show
music.
music.
Really good time.
Whoopi's in the middle square, you know.
And the drug addict is fucking like having the worst part of her life lived out on screen, and then cut to happiness, cut to fucking the darkest thing you can look at.
Yeah.
Happiness, darkness.
Once
happiness,
again,
darkness.
the man is right. Am I right, guys? Am I right?
Fucking so weird.
Apology the movie. Like
I had to pause and just like go, what are we watching
Yeah, this
here?
is one of the darkest scenes.
It's
like,
very...
I brought up Requiem for a Dream earlier, and you remember that scene where she has to like, there's a part where he makes Jennifer Connelly like suck a man's dick to get drugs. That doesn't even begin to describe how dark this scene is. Like, this scene is the worst. It's so weird, the juxtaposition of the images and the sound. It's like, well, if this is what you were going for, you accomplished it.
It would be good to look at a film school, like how they would analyze what the fuck this guy was doing.
Yeah, because
it was a very
up.
weird way to set a tone for a movie. Let's be honest, like the character development here isn't very strong. But when you sit and think about, okay, this is a real person, and if this happened, and then this is a real person, and the good things are happening, this is fucking disturbing. This is worse than staring at people until they fucking have a reaction.
Yeah,
this is disturbing.
I've never heard of a sex scene where a man forces a woman to lick his girlfriend. Like, how bizarre of a setup is that? And this is all in the guy's... By the way, Chris, the guy who starred in this movie, he wrote this movie. Like, this is his idea. What was he thinking?
You don't want to go to the depth of the mind where this guy figured this out.
This guy. So we go to the boat in the morning, right? And Doris is all fucked out. She's like...
She is out.
Yeah, she is out. And then the drug guy comes in and he's like, hey, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey, let's get up here. And she responds with, oh, God, it's morning. And I write, almost like she didn't plan on having to wake up or live another day. Like, it was just like, oh, it's not over yet.
I love it, but he goes like, take an upper, wake up. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, so he gives her a pill, and then... one of the drug boys shoots up, right? The black guy drug boy. And I write, I guess they all need their morning fixes to kind of function, right?
Yep. And Mona's passed out next to the black guy. I thought she was fucking dead the way they were acting.
Yeah, because the mustache man comes in and he goes, did you wake her? And he's like, no, I didn't wake her. And he looks at her and she's like, he's moving her. He like looks at her eyelids and stuff and he's like, fucking shit, you didn't, or something like that.
Oh, he drops the N-word.
He drops the fucking N-word.
He goes, this is what you get for being a junkie N-word. And he goes, why can't you just rise up and be a real black man?
I was like, what the hell is this? How is this dialogue that you would write in a book? Like, this is insane. And the black guy just stares at him like, I swear to fucking God I didn't read the script in this movie. I will rip your goddamn dick off if you say that to me again. What the fuck did you just say? He gives him this look like, all right, I understand the cameras are rolling.
God damn.
But...
and he exits the scene. Like, he's like, he has nothing to say.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, fuck, I'm out of here.
Yeah, he's like, all right. And then the mustache man goes, in a moment of brevity, he goes, hey, Doris, you make me some breakfast? Like, just right after dropping the N-word, you know? Nothing like a little bacon right after some casual racism.
God. And then we cut the pervert and Candy in the shower.
Oh my God. And this bugged me too. I write, for some reason, the sitter is wearing a towel on her head while in the shower.
Yeah, okay, that was a weird shower.
That was really fucking
Did you see the part where he's
me.
just soaping her ass?
Yeah, soaping her ass.
And then he washes his hands and walks out. And then he immediately, like, screams. he screams his intentions like, I'm going to call in the office and check my messages.
And she's like, I don't care.
I don't fucking care. I'm washing my fucking clit. I don't know.
So the pervert, man, he calls the operator, okay? And this is what I was also like, wow, 1970 was a different time. Because he calls the operator like it's his personal secretary.
Yeah.
He goes, hello, operator? Yes. Are there any messages for me? I'm like, wait, what? You just call up the operator in 1970 and you're like, well, I don't have an answering machine. Can you just tell me if anybody called me or something?
Well, how the fuck
I guess he was calling the office, right?
How do all these places have phones, but we can't get, like, fucking internet everywhere? It's 1970. Everybody's got a goddamn phone. We got it on the boat. We got it in a fucking cabin. We got it
in the middle of nowhere.
And we can't get fucking internet today.
So then the babysitter comes in the room, and the guy's all upset. The pervert's upset, and he's like, oh, the operator told me that there's a problem with my boat and that the U.S. Customs Office wants a word with me. And I'm like, wait, what?
First off, okay, I get they have to drop that the U.S. Customs are aware of the fucking boat and it might be trafficking. Why are you going to call the owner and be like, hey, I know you're up to something. I need to talk to you.
Yeah,
the fuck like, you know.
Yeah,
wait till you come in.
So she comes over and she makes him happy. She tries to make him happy, right? And he's all, not now. And she responds with the most bizarre line in the movie where she says, I could eat a side of beef.
I didn't even get that.
I was like, wait, what? So he's all upset about his boat, and he says, how do I know she's not with some other guy? And that's when I fucking lost it. And I wrote, dude, you brought a potentially underage girl to your fuck cabin, and you're worried about your junkie wife you've spent the past hour complaining about fucking another guy? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but immediately in this movie, Candy, the aggressor, fucking makes it okay. Jim, you're not a bastard. You're just a man. All men are pigs.
Well, he says, I feel it. No. We're not there yet. We're not there yet, Hughes. Because he goes on about how his wife's such a piece of trash, she's probably fucking another man, even though he literally has just fucked another woman, and his wife was forced to tongue rape a lady. But you know what, Hughes? It's all her fault. He did the drugs. She didn't have sex with him anymore, and she wasn't a good fucking mother. So fuck her, right? Like, insane. The babysitter says at the end of this scene, she goes, I just want to leave. Like, I've had enough.
She's
right?
done. She's over him.
So they go to the plane, and that's when he apologizes, and he says, I feel like a bastard man. And she goes, you're not a bastard. You're just a man. And then basically he's like, yeah, it's whatever.
And this is where I've called out, like, they were making fun of dialogue at the beginning. This whole fucking scene is just terrible dialogue that they were making fun of.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we're getting too heavy.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it was like they went into the scene like this is the most meta movie of all time. Like, they were literally reading the script for the end of this movie and commenting on how bad it is, but then they actually just still read it.
Yeah, we're getting too heavy and swung for each other.
Oh. So then we go to the house, right? So now the sitter and the pervert are back at the house. She basically tells him, chill, dude, we fucked, and that's that. If you want to fuck again, meet me at the racetrack. Apparently she just hangs out there waiting for old Dick to arrive. That's what she does. She's waiting for that Slim Jim. Oh, yeah. So then we go to work, right? So here we go. I love this. So the pervert goes to work, right? And apparently we know he's a director. He walks into this office and he has about 10 women typing furiously onto this wall of computers. And I write, doing what?
He's got a lot of babysitter movies to make.
This guy's a director, and he has like 10 women sitting in a room with like air traffic control computers in front of them and headsets, and they're typing furiously, like nonstop typing, like like these are like court stenographers. Like they're sitting there just going like.
But every office is a weird scene in the 70s.
They're like listening to airwaves, like copy down every radio show. I want it dictated to me later. If I miss my morning funny show, I want to hear it in my ear while you dictate it to me in my office later. And I write, I think he just pays women to look important and busy. Or like, I think he pays women to look busy so he could look important.
Yes.
So when he brings people in, he's like, oh, here are the girls. And it's 1970, so I'm sure they all have health cares and pensions. Like this is a union gig. And so the dockhand, that guy we met over an hour ago,
shows up.
He just shows up and he's like, hey, Mr. Jim, something screwy's going on with your boat. And the perv's like, hey, what's up, doc boy? And he's all, hey, there's a few men on your boat. And apparently the cops, and I think he said Treasury officials,
the department,
were asking about your boat, and they were like going around looking at all these boats and searching them and everything. And the perv's like, well, hey, let's. You ever been on a plane? You want to go look for my boat on a plane? And he's like, I don't know about no planes. Like the dock boy is like, he's like, I'm kind of a water man myself. You know what I mean? I'm not used to being in the air. I'm not like you, a fancy man who can go fuck a 16-year-old, I don't know these wild things that you directors do. I'm just a simple man, a simple dock boy. I got me hose.
Carries that. He didn't have it in the office, but it was outside.
If he walked in with that hose. How are we going to know he's the dock boy? I think I am personally lobbying for him to walk into that office with the hose. And they're like, no, it's not going to make any sense. But how are we going to know it's him? So we go to the plane, right? And they're searching in the air for the boat. And game show music starts playing. This goes on for a while. It basically, we go back to the boat. Oh, okay, I love this. The drug boys are just boating around. And then some guy shows up. And they're like, oh, hey, is this the second drug deal we're doing this weekend? And then this guy pulls up. And he's like, hey, it's too hot. But this is the great thing. This guy in this boat, Chris, is my favorite character in the whole movie because he just screams all his lines and we never get a close-up of him. He's all in a long shot. He ends every line with baby.
Does he? I did not catch that.
It's too hot, baby.
Oh, he did. Oh, God.
He comes up. He's like, hey, you got this. Hey, you got this stuff. He goes, no, it's too hot, baby. And he's like, what are you talking about? He goes, where's my stuff? He goes, no way, baby. I'll see you later. And then we go on the plane. They find the boat. Then we go back to the boat. The drug boys, they're mad because the deal isn't going down. Then the other boat just leaves. And
do you see how low the plane was, though? Yeah. Fucking cutting the scenes, and the plane's 10 feet off the water.
Apparently, Mona realizes that it's her husband because she just jumps off the boat and tries to swim for it. I'm like, where are you going? The plane can't land.
The scene, to me, the way I read that scene was she got out and she's like, oh, there's the fucking plane. And then she was so drugged out, she fell in the water. Not that she was going to swim there, but it was fucking weird nonetheless. Okay, I see this plane. I'm not going to put any pants on. I'm still post-sex and I haven't changed since I was
you're right. She
deep.
is in her panties.
Yeah,
and she
I'm
just
her face is all dirty. And that's why she jumped in the water.
And so... her face is full of crabs, and she jumps in the water, and then the lobster man goes in after her, but Mustache Man and Doris, they don't really care. They just kind of look, they're like, at one point Doris goes like, hey, should we do something about this? My sex toy fell in the water. Excuse me, Mustache.
I had plans, damn it.
And so then the lobster man brings her back. All right, this was very anticlimactic. But then Mustache Man confronts the lobster man, and he goes, I don't pay you all that money to swim around and rescue broads. And right, whoa. So what were you were just like, easy come, easy go. She's dead. He's like, no. You probably should have her return home alive because obviously you were the last person that was seen with her.
Yeah, because the fucking dock guy can say, that's the whole point is they're on this boat. They can stop anywhere on the coast before being searched and fucking ditch the boat and pull and run away with their drugs.
It's 1970, so the way you get away with a crime is the cops go like, did you murder that girl?
No!
And you just go, no. And they go, well, there's no such thing as DNA, so we'll believe you.
This is the creepy version.
Did you guys know anything about that Natalie Wood falling off that boat?
This is the creepy version of the Always Sunny, the implication episode.
So Lobster Man pulls a mutiny at this point, and he just goes like, he's all, well, I'm taking control of the boat. I'm driving us back. I'm bringing us to this dock. And the Mustache Man's like, no, you aren't. And then he fights him, and he hits him with some pole.
He gaffed him. That's a gaffing fishing pole. It was a fucking metal hook on there. And I don't understand why he hooked his arm and then pulled him closer. It was so weird.
But then Mustache Man wins, and he throws Lobster Man overboard, and he apparently gets chewed up in the engines because we just see red blood.
Yeah, he got eaten by the propellers, and that was it.
And then Flipper appeared, because as we know, all this movie needs a little splash of water. And the crime will be solved. Okay, I like this, though. As he's fighting that mustache, there's Mustache Man and Lobster Boy are fighting, right? The black guy's just standing in the doorway, shaking his head like, Jesus
fucking
Christ.
White people. You're like, wait, one of them's Mexican.
So then Mona pulls up the boat to the pier, and then the pervert pilot and Doc Boy...
They fucking rammed that boat into the pier.
Yeah, she hits the pier.
You fucking hear it.
But the pervert gets on the radio, and he goes, this is the craziest fucking shit I've ever heard. He gets on his CB radio, and he tells whoever is on the other end to call the babysitter and tell them to bring him some wheels. And I write, apparently in the world this movie inhabits, you can just tell an operator to get a hold of somebody just wherever they are, and they will do it for you. So maybe those 10 women working at his office, this is what they do, is they literally are all private investigators, and they can just find people. I write, it must be nice to be rich.
All I got when he called in, he's like, "Give me some wheels." I'm like, "Oh, a motorcycle race. We fucking get another one."
Oh my God. So we go to the airport, right? Like Santa Monica
He
Airport.
fully fucking
It
lands.
is Santa Monica Airport.
It looks like, or Van Nuys, one or the other. He
And
fucking lands his plane.
He lands his plane, and the Mystery Machine crew picks up Pervert with their bikes, and they ride off to the dock, and they're still trying to park this boat, by the way. How long did it take to land this plane? Santa Monica, by the way, which we're going all the way out to Malibu with these bikes.
Yeah.
And somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Malibu. Like, this is, like, really in the state park area of it, right? I mean, this is going to take a while to get out there, I'd assume. But Mona crashes that boat into the dock. You're right, Hugh. She hits it hard. Like, it's clear that they almost destroyed that boat and the dock at the same time.
So when she crashed it, I'm looking, I'm like, wait, the stairs are on the other side. And I'm like, she parked on the fucking wrong side.
This is the most bizarre thing. They park this boat at the dock, and then they climb upstairs at the end of the dock.
That looks so fucking dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Very, very dangerous.
And I want to props to Doris, who did the whole thing barefoot.
In like a mini dress.
In a mini dress.
She's in this tiny little dress. And so the drug boys get out and with Doris, and they run around the dock for a while, and then they go down another set of stairs.
The fucking rickety ladder.
Yeah. And then the Mystery Machine crew stops them before they can get away. And so this is insane.
Before we get to that, so that whole, the boat parking, running on the docks, the people walking down the ladder, we get a single shot for that whole thing by helicopter. How expensive was that shot?
Right. It must have been the whole budget.
Fuck. Did we even talk about the budget in this movie?
No. I couldn't find any information. This movie doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. I can't choose. There's like, this movie barely exists. It's like they tried to fucking bury it under the ground, and they're like, "Oh no, this can't be seen." So the Mystery Machine crew stops them right before they can get away. They stop the drug dealers, and they tie. Okay, this is insane. They tie Mustache Man to some sort of water pipe by his neck
with a chain.
I'm like, whoa.
But did you like the two hero scenes of like, here's Jim confronting the man that his wife was with. He doesn't do anything. He just runs by him. He's like, I thought he was going to go save his boat.
No, he doesn't. He just runs off to the boat. He's like, fuck these people. I don't care anymore. Yeah, the pervert's like, fuck it. So the Mystery Machine crew apparently kills a man by chaining him to a pipe and leaving him in the middle of nowhere. Also, at one point, the guy with the beret, the hippie, the beatnik guy, he picks up
the heroin.
Two black things.
Oh,
he picks up two black things and he goes, hash. And I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah, and I guess he was okay with the hash because
they kept showing
that.
heroin.
Yeah,
but then they apparently they opened the bags of heroin or something and just put it everywhere because there's all this powder sprayed everywhere, splayed all over the fucking place.
And the black
empty bags.
And the black goon is like, fuck, man, I could have been. I would have saved one left.
The last shot we see of these two guys is the Mustache Man chained to a water pipe like he's gonna die because they chained him real tight and he's choking to death. And the black guy's just sitting by this cooler,
his empire of dirt,
just
of heroin,
going fuck me, man, what a day. Then the pervert swims to his boat.
Didn't the pervert swim?
He swims to his boat.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going to happen?
Okay.
He's going to get out there.
Pervert Man swims to his boat. He gets on the boat in a long shot that we've zoomed in. Okay? We're not even close to the boat.
We're on the shore.
We can barely, they look like fucking ants. And he gets up and he apparently just hugs his wife, who's now all of a sudden steering the boat from the top of the boat, which is not, she was steering it from inside before. So I don't know how all of a sudden she now has she's somehow steering the boat from the top of it.
Well, they do have a bridge, but I mean, yeah, it's weird. She ran up there to do it because I don't know.
I have no idea. So basically he hugs her, or I think, because I can barely tell in this barely focused long shot that they zoomed in and it's all shadowy. Then we just see the sitta. We see a shot of her, right? A profile shot of her. And she just says, ciao, baby.
Ciao, baby.
And then the boat just boats off.
Into the sunset.
Yeah. And the
his
movie
wife
ends.
Not
a single resolution.
And then they have really short scrolling credits. And then Candy's just there on the right of it. And once the credits are done, she drives off.
Recommendation?
If you want to look at this movie from an academic standpoint and watch this movie, if you're going to watch it for enjoyment, don't watch this movie.
It's not enjoyable. But if you think what we've told you is crazy, it's just as crazy as we're saying. We are not making this up. We are not exaggerating. It is crazy. It is My Apology, the movie, or Guys, Am I Right, the movie, wink, wink. This movie should have been retitled Women Get What They Deserve, because that's honestly what this man is trying to say. He's trying to say that, if you're a woman who's married, you should take care of your husband, or he has every right to cheat on you with a young girl because it's your fault.
And I'm just going to say this took place on a Monday, technically after the weekend.
So it's all fucked up. It's not even a weekend.
Yeah, it's not even a weekend with the baby.
It's but you know what? When you're rich, every day's a weekday. That's another thing. It also is like, this movie can also be called "Isn't It Great to Be Rich?"
Ball the Babysitter.
Ball the Babysitter. If it gets hard, it's not my fault. I mean, this is the worst, most disgusting premise to a movie we've seen yet.
If it happens to a junkie, it's not a crime.
Have you ever seen a mouth rape? No, this movie should have been called Rape in Box Canyon. So yeah, that's it. Like you said, if you're interested, watch it. It's out there. It's groovy, baby.
Oh, I'm so happy I got to watch this.
You hear that sound, Hughes?
Is it horns of a ship?
Well, the straight arrow also doubles as a submarine. And now, if you've listened to every episode of Grindbin, you understand what this segment is. We try to go back and see how every movie fits in with the first movie or the 47th movie we covered on this podcast. 1977's The Van, stars Stuart Coates and Danny DeVito about a ginger guy who gets a garish yellow van that tries to rape women inside of it, and we're not exaggerating. Hughes, how do you think Bobby and DeVito fit into the world of Weekend with the Babysitter?
I think that they were the two brown-faced white men that delivered the heroin from Mexico. Then they learned what was going on in that boat. They got to get into boating.
Bobby, the craziest scene. Did you see what happened on that boat, Bobby? That guy had a broad on there, and he made her rape another broad. I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah, I think that the sitter, you said she drove off at the end. Chris, I think that bike was a little dirty. I think she needed to send it through a car wash, and she happened to pull up to a certain car wash with a certain older man. And you know her propension for wrinkled dick. There's a bookie sitting in that office, and he's, Andy's having one of his regular days. DeVito's just sitting around taking bets, and all of a sudden he sees this young girl pulls up, and he goes, there's another one for Bobby. Bobby tries his moves. He asks her about vans. She says, no, I don't really like vans. And says about joints. She's like, I like joints, but not with you. I'm sorry, I'm not attracted to redheads. Maybe if you had a little more wrinkles. I'm not into freckles. I'm into wrinkles. And then she looks over at DeVito and she gives him the eye, and he goes, oh my god.
She stares at him awkwardly until he reacts.
You know what? Hold on. If she did the staring with Bobby, I don't think it would end well. Like, you know how she does her stare, right? I could just see her getting her motorcycle washed and staring Bobby down, right?
See, yeah, I think that's the flaw in your plan. If you're going to involve her with Bobby, Bobby's not going to rape her. She was the aggressor the entire movie. She will rape Bobby and DeVito in the back of that van.
She just stares at Bobby, and he's getting uncomfortable. For once in his life, he's on the other end of it. He's trying to drive the bike, and he's like, DeVito... This girl keeps staring at me.
I only know how to drive vans.
I keep saying things to her, and she doesn't say anything back. DeVito, she's scaring me.
And she won't go away.
DeVito, she won't leave. And DeVito comes out, and he's like, hey. You scam my employees here, broad.
And then that's when we get like the hero shot of DeVito walking out in slow motion, and romantic music is playing, and she gets a big smile.
We see a close up of his pants, and the movie ends with her just licking her lips, and she goes, and just over a black screen you hear, "Ciao, baby," and then you hear the straight arrow horn go, "Hi to Bobby." Well, thank you for joining us. Another episode of the Grindbin. Hughes, it's been great having you here. Obviously, you have a open seat on the Grindbin at any time. I thought that the three people episode came out great.
I'll find out soon.
Yeah, it has not released yet. We have recorded this literally about 10 minutes before we're about to release that episode. But I think this one came out really great. I'm really happy with it. Hughes, you should come back more often, do more movies with us here. Maybe we'll get our other idea for a podcast one day off the ground. We shouldn't tell anybody about it yet.
Nope.
But it could be a lot of fun.
All right, let's do some plugs. I got a plug. I do a charity event called Extra Life where we raise money for local children's hospitals. For us, we use Obsidian Entertainment. That would be twitch.tv/Obsidian. And all the money that we generate goes to a local children's hospital down here called Children's Hospital of Orange County. Stop by, check it out. We stream Tuesdays and Wednesdays every week on top of everything else.
It's a great cause. If you're into the Twitch stuff, you got to go check it out because, why not watch some Twitch, get some money over to those kids. They really need it. They need it more than you do. You know they do. So it's a good cause, Hughes. It's very nice of you to do that. So the good people over there.
Don't you have some Twitters and shit to
plug? Yes. If you want to get in touch with us, grindbin@gmail.com. Twitter, we're at grindpod. We're the Grindbin Podcast on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. But apparently, as Chris said, if he has not fucked that Frenchman yet, some French bastard hacked into the Instagram and the Twitter for the for his personal Twitter,
not the Grindbin
Twitter. Yeah, he's doing a great job of promoting the show on the Twitter, that hacker. I'll tell you.
It's all in French. I can't read any of it.
Lay bin.
Rate and review.
Oh, yeah. Rate and review the show on iTunes, and we'll review a movie of your choice. I still have plenty of movies to get to. We have been very bad. Our friend Randy wants us to do this movie over here, this Hell Squad movie, and I went through hell getting the DVD. I bought the DVD, and it came to me in the mail, and it doesn't work.
The DVD doesn't work?
No. It's like a bootleg, and so I'm going to have to find some way to watch this movie, Randy. I might have to find it on VHS and pull out that VCR, but I swear to God, I will get your movie on this show. You rate and reviewed. What am I going to do? I can't let you down, man. Also, you know what? I keep... Oh, my God. I am the worst person in the world for not doing this. I have to give some shout-outs. First of all, to our good friend Sean Thompson, who has donated to this show once again. He's a very nice guy, looserounds.com. Sean is the benefactor of the Grindbin. He keeps our doors open. He donates plenty of money to us. He's our one sponsor, and I never fucking mention him, and I really have to. His website's looserounds.com. It's a gun website. If for some reason you're offended by that, well, then don't go look at it. So, if you don't like the material, then...
So they listen to this podcast and you think they can be offended?
Well, that's true, but obviously people that listen to this podcast, we have all sorts of people, all sorts of political bents. Trust me. That we have the left, we have the right. If you are offended by somebody who has a hobby in firearms, then you probably shouldn't listen to this show. Because he's a good friend of the show and he's very nice to us and he donates money, and so if you like this show, Sean is one of the people keeping it alive, so shut the fuck up and be nice. And then I'd like to give a shout out to a podcast who mentioned us on one of their previous episodes, and I promised them that I would mention them too. All right, so check out the Weird With You podcast.
I am going to add that right now.
Okay, well, they are a podcast from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so our friends up in the north, and they gave us a shout out because they enjoyed our episodes of Grindbin. Their latest episode is called Witches Be Crazy. Apparently somebody in Canada was getting arrested for witchcraft, which is still a crime up in Canada, I guess. You Canadians with your laws. It's not like this down here. The land of the free, baby.
We killed a bunch of witches in Massachusetts.
And there's never been one witch killed on American soil.
Well, that's because they don't exist.
Hughes, you live in America. We can rewrite history all we want. So I'd also like to do a shout out. They haven't mentioned us, but they're always good friends. I'd like to mention, obviously, our good friend Randall over at the Grolix podcast.
I like his episodes.
Always a great... Oh, you're listening to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. They're running a good podcast over there. I'd like to get all of them on there, but he said one of them is a school teacher, so I don't know how that's going to work. He'll have to hide it from the kids,
Well, maybe you can put a disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah, we'll go, anybody in so-and-so class.
Well, all the opinions of our own, and we're not the reflection of this elementary school.
And I'd also like to give a shout out to a real champion of this podcast, which is the Parlapod podcast, who they retweet and tweet at us so much. We really appreciate it, guys. We're so glad that you're listening, and we're so glad to have you retweeting all our stuff for us, and we try and retweet you back, but thank you very much. Oh, you know what? Get this. Grindbin listener and contributor to the website, Chuck Rodriguez, just got his signed copy of Diane Franklin's book. Diane Franklin, Grindbin All-Star from Last American Virgin and TerrorVision, wrote a memoir, and she asked people to write quotes about her, and Chuck's quote made it into the book.
Congratulations.
And she sent him a signed copy and a signed picture from Last American Virgin. So congratulations, Chuck. And thank you, Diane Franklin, for always liking our tweets and retweeting them when we tweet at you. She retweeted our TerrorVision episode, and that was really nice.
It was a good episode.
Well, thank you. That was one with Randall.
Mm-hmm.
He also joined us on the Vaniversary. If you listen to our Vaniversary episode, you'll hear Randall's voice every single episode, and us promote the Grolix podcast on every mention of this show. So,
Bobby, Where's the penicillin?
Ciao, baby.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
This book ain't got no real poetry.
Hello, pizza man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
This is Los Angeles.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
And